So if you have a conception of what the Enlightenment, at this period, what they mean by freedom, you need to understand what they're rebelling against. They want to be free from authority and obedience to authority. And if you understand that that, in effect, is the spirit, when we're looking politically, morally, at the age of enlightenment, this is the spirit that ascends during this period, you can get, I think, an idea of why it wouldn't be true to say that anyone at any time desires liberty, that they have this kind of inbuilt or innate desire. Because what that would mean is that they desire to be free from authority and free from obedience. But that just is not true historically. And then I would say if you look around a lot of people today, it's not true of them either. Many people want authorities in their lives, and they wonder, how could you even function if you don't have some authority that's telling you what to do, some authority to whom you're going to be obedient? If you think, for instance, of America, particularly in the 19th, but into the 20th century, it attracted an enormous amount of immigrants from all over the world, from all walks of life, rich people and poor people, people who spoke English and didn't speak English. They came to America in the hundreds of thousands and the millions. And if you ask why did they come, it's certainly true that many came as a result of seeking economic prosperity. So there are economic hardships in the countries in which they were born. They're seeking a better economic life, and they came to America. But that is not the only reason people came. There are many immigrants who were doing well. America attracted rich people and poor people, and middle-class people. So from all income levels and economic circumstances, people wanted to come to America. They wanted to come for freedom. And that notion meant to them much more than just economic freedom. It meant that they would be free of their own cultures, which are in many parts of the world, very authoritarian. For instance, my background is part Indian. Many immigrants from India came to America, to Canada, to North America, seeking to be free from their own culture. And if you know something about traditional Indian culture, but this is true of most traditional cultures prior to the Enlightenment, you have to have all kinds of deference to whether it's males or to your father or to the elders in your town. There's a vast framework of kind of hierarchies of authority, of who's supposed to obey whom. And obey, again, this means unquestionably. This is just their word goes, in effect. And there's many cultures that have this kind of authoritarian structure, which America, comparatively speaking, did not have. People came because they would be free from these kinds of cultural authorities telling them what to do. So, for instance, I'm a product of a mixed marriage, a mixture of races. In many traditional cultures, this is taboo. You just don't do this. And if you ask, well, why don't you do this? Why is it wrong? You don't really get an answer. The answer is, well, because we say it's wrong. That's authoritarianism, and people are supposed to be obedient to it. And people came and immigrated to America to be free from this kind of authoritarian structure. But many people stayed, and this is the point. Many people stayed because what they wanted from life is this kind of obedience. And they would ask the question of, well, if someone's not telling you what to do, what you should think and not think, and what is right and what is wrong, and therefore how you should live your life, if someone's not telling you, how are you supposed to function? You'll be lost. The world will be just chaotic. And this is the picture many authoritarians paint of the world absent an authority. It will just be chaos. People won't know what to do. It will be the breakdown of order. And the Enlightenment was challenging this kind of view, that absent authority, you won't know how to function, and it will be chaos, disintegration, bad news all around, economically, but much more broadly, culturally. And so the Enlightenment had to have a view, if you're not functioning by authority, by listening and being obedient to authority, in matters of truth and false, of science, of facts, and not obeying authorities in regard to right and wrong, in regard to morality, in regard to ethics. How do you function if it's not by authority? And the Enlightenment had a definite answer to that question. And one way to capture what its answer was is to ask who of if you look through the different thinkers in the Enlightenment and the different leading people, who was almost universally admired as a hero? You can in fact say he's the hero of the Enlightenment. And there's one figure who was universally admired. It's very hard to find someone who doesn't admire his achievements. And that person was Isaac Newton, who was championed as this is the great exemplar of somebody. He's the example of somebody who doesn't go by authority. What he achieved in the realm of science, of giving us understanding of the nature of light, of the nature of motion, of making a vast and seemingly incomprehensible set of facts of motion seemed chaotic, not easily understood. Light certainly was thought of as a certain kind of mystery. He brought an understanding, an illumination, in effect, and this is why the Enlightenment uses the metaphor of light. And they talked about Newton bringing light to what before was darkness, where before we lived in ignorance, without knowledge, a vast amount of knowledge. And he did it not by listening to a king, not by listening to a pope, not by treating some people as authorities that you blindly followed. He did it by following his own reason, his own logical mind, following the evidence where it led to the conclusions and the vast principles and system of physics that he formed. And he was viewed as a hero precisely because of this. So if you think of heroes today in our world, it's typically someone like a sports figure, a Michael Jordan. In the Enlightenment, you could speak of their heroes, and the foremost hero was a scientist who was viewed as an exemplar of reason. So as against functioning by authority or obedience, the Enlightenment proposed an alternative, positive view, a positive ideal, which was to function by means of reason. And this is crucial to grasping why liberty will become its political ideal and a moral cause during the period of the Enlightenment.